Hare Krishna, thanks all for joining. So just a brief overview because last week we didn't have the class. So we till now we covered the foundational concept where it talks about four yugas and the various ways to reach Lord in each yuga. What is the prescribed duty and that yuga duration, as well as what is the lifespan of a common living being in that particular yuga. We have seen. There are four yugas. Then we seen how various Vishnus are there and how all the Vishnus are coming the hierarchy from Krishna. So Krishna, why Krishna being called as the Bhagavan? We have seen that Forbes, correct? So that we have seen. Then what are the five topics of Bhagavad Gita? It talks about. So anyone can say what are the five topics of Bhagavad Gita? Hare Krishna. Can say five topics of Bhagavad Gita. So it is talking about Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. Okay, in this, only Karma is like a non-eternal, all others are like a eternal. So this we have seen. Then we have seen what is the difference between a Vishnu and a Shiva Tattva and Krishna. Why Krishna been called as like a Bhagavan? That also we have seen. Then we seen this Bhagavad Gita is like a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And this Bhagavad Gita is the song of the god, and it has 18 chapters and 700 slokas, which Krishna explained to Arjuna in the conversation format of 45 minutes. Okay, so then we have seen the Bhagavad Gita been segregated into three main division. One is the first six chapter predominantly talking about the Karma Yoga. The next six chapter talking predominantly on the Bhakti Yoga, and the last six chapter we're talking about the Jnana Yoga. So we already seen one important thing which we covered in the last week is like a confidential, more confidential, and the most confidential. So confidential knowledge being explained in the second chapter, which is we are not the body, we are the soul. Okay, then the more confidential is talked in the seventh and the eighth chapter, where Krishna is saying, okay, how this soul coming from the super soul, okay, how the soul and super soul existing, okay, how soul is coming from the super soul, okay. Then in the ninth chapter, the most confidential, there it is talking about, okay, Krishna is talking about how this soul can do the devotion service and can go back to the spiritual world, okay, which is the permanent. Okay, that is what the confidential, more confidential, and most confidential. So the first chapter we already seen. The first chapter. What is the name of the first chapter? Hare Krishna. Please respond so that we can have an interactive session.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, the battlefield of
No, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Okay, very important to know the full name of the chapter. Thanks, Mataji, for attempting. Okay, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So, what is the short form acronym which we have seen for chapter one? The acronym is like a doubt. This acronym will help us to remember the whole chapter in a very gist format. Okay, which was done by His Grace Sutapadas Prabhu. So the acronym doubt represents D represents the Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Like initially, Dhritarashtra is asking to Sanjaya what his sons and sons of Pandu assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, what they decided to do. Because in this, he shows the difference between his sons and Pandu's son, and he is uh, very inquisitive, to know whether the mind of his sons like it didn't change after reaching the battlefield of Kurukshetra, because that Kurukshetra is like in the Dharma Kshetra. So it is a Dharma place, a religious place. Okay. Then Duryodhana is explaining like hey, his own army. Then uh, Pandavas explaining like their own army. Then Arjuna, all the five Pandavas, their Shanka name being revealed. And Krishna's Shanka name is Panchajanya. Then Arjuna's Shanka name is like a Devadatta. Then Bhima's like okay Poundra. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj is Ananta Vijaya. Then Nakula and Sakadeva is like a Sugosha and Manipushpaga. Okay, this I while they were blowing the Shanka, it was like a very tumultuous and creating fear in the opposite army. Okay, then we have seen um, Arjuna saying various reasons like not to fight. He is giving like the five reasons. Okay, not to fight because he's saying like a sin will like a family tradition will be vanquishing. He's having compassion on the bodily platform. Then whatever enjoyment he is going to get, like he thinks that okay, it will not be helpful for him to enjoy in the future. Okay, then in decision like where they are unable to take any decision, like so he is surrendering to Krishna. Uh, he's surrendering to Krishna. So these are the five reasons. Like he's not, he's saying like not to fight. Then moving to the in that doubt, like okay, D represents the Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. O represents like a ominous result for the Kauravas army. Then U represents like a uncertainty on the mind of Krishna. Sorry, on the mind of Arjuna. Then B represents like a bewilderment for Arjuna, and T represents like a turning point. So this is how we have seen like a doubt as an acronym. The second chapter, um, it is uh, it is one of the important chapter because Krishna talks about like the Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, all the yogas like a yoga ladder in a very gist format here. Like the chapter name is Contents of the Gita Summarized. Okay, so here the acronym is Gita. Okay, G represents like a guru, I represents the identity, T represents the Tyaga. Okay, A represents like a Atma Rama, which is like okay, self-satisfied soul. So we have seen like one of the important slokas of the second chapter, which is 2.7. There is a turning point of uh, the whole Bhagavad Gita because Arjuna till now like he was as a friendly mood to Krishna. Now he is surrendering to Krishna as a uh, guru. Like okay, so Krishna he's submitting himself as a disciple to the guru. So he is able to surrender to him. Like he's seeking the what he has to do because he's not able to take any decision. So he's asking like how I can do the uh, how I can come out of my perplexity situation. Okay, so we have seen like a till 30th shloka uh, where Krishna is talking about like okay, he was listening all the things like whatever Arjuna saying very patiently. Then he is now giving back like okay the responses to um, Arjuna. Okay, so he's talking about the 30 characteristics of the soul. He's saying, okay, we are not the body. You are whatever you are mourning, like okay, it is on a bodily platform, which is not at all worthy of Kshatriya. So you should not grieve. Like okay, the soul cannot be killed. What is the size of the soul? Anyone can say what is the size of the soul?
So 1000 part of like a hair size. 1000.
No, bro, not 1,000. If you take a hair and the
Tip
tip
of
of
the
a
hair.
hair, yeah, tip of the hair, then cut that by 1,000, and
Mhm.
that one piece again like a cut by 1,000. That is the size of the soul. It's very, 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 very minute. Okay, We can't see it even in the micro or like okay microscope. So it is very minute. So you just take a tip of the hair and cut that by 1,000 pieces, and that one piece again cut by 1,000 pieces. Like that one piece now, that is the size of the soul. It is impossible like for us to see that size of the soul. Okay. So then he's talking about all the characteristics of the soul. Till 2.30 we covered. Okay. The characteristics of the soul is here. I will just represent here, which is very, very important for all of us to know because this is the confidential knowledge. We are not the body, we are the soul. That is the confidential knowledge Krishna revealing to Arjuna in the second chapter. See, I'm just doing. See, these are the characteristics. Okay, under which sloka it has been mentioned, that also mentioned here, correct? So soul is eternal, no change, it is indestructible, it is imperishable, it is immeasurable, it cannot be slayed by anyone, nor ever like a slain, no birth or no death, not come into being, like it does not come into being, will not come into being, it is unborn, it is ever existing, like it is primeval, it is immutable. Immutable means like it can't create anything, like okay, cannot be cut into the pieces. Okay, burned by fire, cannot be burned by fire, moistened by water, like a withered by wind, unbreakable, insoluble, neither burned nor dried, everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, eternally the same, invisible, inconceivable, amazing. Look, someone looks to see like a the soul is amazing. Someone sees soul is amazing. Someone hears the soul is amazing. Someone describes the soul is amazing. So these are the various characteristics. Like if we remember all these points now, we will never like commit any sin. We will never try to be in this material world because the soul's original position, original identity, original place where the soul has to be, it is the spiritual world. But we are just like suffering in this material world. So we have to go back to the spiritual world. That is the purpose of our life. Okay. So till now, Krishna talking to Arjuna on the Jnana Yoga, which is very heavy for Arjuna, but still Krishna is uh, very nicely explaining on a very understandable format. Okay, on the Jnana Yoga. But yeah, like okay, you are not the soul, you are not the body, you are the soul. So please, like okay, don't have the compassion on the bodily platform. Okay, that is what Krishna is teaching to Arjuna. Okay, till now it is a Jnana Yoga. Okay, now he's going to talk about the Karma Yoga. Okay, do your duty. Karma means like okay, do the duty, and they expect the result will come automatically. Like then in that he's talking about like yeah, karma, vikarma, uh, karma, all those things like we will see in the upcoming slokas. Okay, so this is what he's saying like a karma kanta fight. For gains come from dutifully fighting and losses come from not fighting. So if you dutifully fighting, you will you will gain something. If you are not fighting, loss will come. Still, you will gain something like as part of karma. If you do your duty properly, you will get some benefit. If you are not doing your duty properly, still you will get something. You have to go through the karma. That karma will be like okay on a negative karma or like a loss. You will get the loss. Okay, so gain or loss like is going to happen if you do the karma or like if you're not doing the karma. So that is what from 31 to 38 Krishna is teaching to Arjuna. If Arjuna dies in the battlefield, he will promoted to heaven. Okay, if Arjuna fighting with the Kauravas and dies in the battlefield, like okay, he is going to go to heaven because as a Kshatriya, he has to do his duty to protect Dharma. While doing the duty, if you die, you will go to heaven. Okay, and if he wins the battle, he will rule the earth. Okay, if he's going to win the battle, then he will rule the earth. Okay, he will get the benefit of ruling the earth. Dishonor will overcome if he is not going to fight. Okay, if he leaves the battlefield by saying that, okay, I'm not going to fight against my own family members, then as a Kshatriya, he will get the dishonor, which is worse than the death. Okay, so that is what Krishna is very heavily talking in the 31 to 38th sloka. Okay, let us go to the sloka. Hope everyone is able to understand, because I just taken like a little more time for understanding, because we have not had the class like last week. Please feel free to ask anything, any doubt. At the same time, please revise this whatever covered sloka regularly. Read the Bhagavad Gita, then only you will get the right knowledge. Okay, you will be able to remember what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So, Swadharmam apicha vekshya navikhapitum arhasi dharmyadyu yuddhe shreya anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting for on religious principle, and so there is no need for hesitation. So again, hey, in the whole, while Krishna is explaining the Jnana Yoga, he's saying his soul is not going to be killed. It is unborn, so don't lament. Uh, it will not be burned by fire, so don't lament. The similar way, he's talking the Karma Yoga also. You do your duty, don't hesitate, don't lament. Okay, because the main reason for Arjuna not fighting is he was lamenting, correct? He was unable to take any decision. He was worrying, okay, whether I will get the sinful action if I do the fighting against my family members. But Krishna saying, you are not doing for your own self sake, okay? You are doing it to protect the religious principles, to protect religion, okay, to protect the dharma, you have to fight. That too, as a Kshatriya, you have to fight, okay, you should not run away from the battlefield. So that is what he is saying. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know there is no better engagement. You will not get a better opportunity than this warfield to protect the dharma, to fight for to protecting dharma. Okay, and so there is no need for lamentation or hesitation. Don't do hesitation like a fight. That is what he's saying. Okay, here he's talking about the varnashram dharma, which we will see in the slide. Okay, how Krishna is talking the varnashram dharma. Yadrashya chopapannam swargadvaram apavritam sukinah kshatriya partha labante yuddham idrusham. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unserved, opening for them like the doors of heavenly planets. So he's saying, happy are the Kshatriya. Kshatriya always happy to get the opportunity to fight to protect Dharma. Okay, so you should be happy that you got the right opportunity to protect the Dharma. For that reason, you are getting an opportunity to fight. That too, okay, Kshatriya will be happy if all these opportunity comes unserved without he wanting. Okay, because it is going to open the door of heavenly planets for them. So you should be a happy rather than lamenting. That is what Krishna is saying heavily here to Arjuna. Okay, so what is in it for us? Okay, Krishna is telling to Arjuna to fight. So for what we can take, okay, or we cannot fight, correct? We are not the Kshatriya. So we have to take it as okay, we have to do our duty. We should not run away from our own responsibility. Someone will say, okay, I will go to sannyasa because I am unable to perform my duty. Then that is not the tyaga, proper tyaga. It is not the proper renunciation. It is the boha tyaga, like, okay, it is a bohi. It is a false renunciation, okay. That should not be encouraged, like, okay, that Krishna completely avoiding in the whole the Bhagavad Gita, na, he will say the the Bhoga Tyaga should not happen. We have to do our duty. If you are a you are destined to become a sannyasi, then you have to do the sannyasa. Like all these things will be explained in the upcoming chapter. It is very, very interesting because Krishna knows like what is present, what is past, what is future, correct? He explains like all the questions of Arjuna, and Arjuna is very uh, very grateful because he is asking all the questions on behalf of us, because he got the opportunity to meet with Krishna in person and ask all these things, and Krishna is kind enough to say all the to clarify all the questions of Arjuna. So this is not only for Arjuna, it is for all of us. Okay, so we should do like okay, our duty rightfully to protect dharma, like and to protect the religious practice. Okay, so every time like we have to remind ourselves. So this is talking about we saw five topics of Bhagavad Gita. What are the things? This instruction like okay, talking any guesses? Hare Krishna. Again, that foundational slides like it has to come. Just find foundational slides are talking about Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. So here Arjuna and Krishna are there. Okay, so Arjuna is a Jiva, Krishna is the Ishvara. Then they are talking about like doing the karma kanda. Krishna is asking Arjuna to fight. Okay, that is a karma. Then it is talking about karma. Then for to fight, like the whole material nature has to be there. Then it is talking about Prakriti. This is what like then if you fight, you will either gain or you will if you are running away, you will get dishonor. That is like okay, talking about time also. So all the five topics of Bhagavad Gita been covered in these lokas. Okay, so next loka, ataschet twamimam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tatah swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapshyasi. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. So here Krishna says, okay, you fight because happy are the Kshatriyas, like for whom these opportunities come, like okay, without unsought. Okay, um, here he's saying, however, if you are not doing the duty, if you are not performing like okay, religious duty of fighting to protect dharma, then you will certainly incur sins. He's assuring that okay, you will get sin if you are not doing your duty. Then neglecting duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. So he says okay, you will lose your reputation also as a fighter. So you have better you do your duty rather than like a neglecting your duty. So that is what Krishna says to Arjuna. Then the next loka, Akirtim chapi bhutani katarshishyanti te avyayam sambhavitasya chakirtigir marana aditi adirichyate. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respected person, dishonor is worse than death. Okay, like we saw already, if you leave from the battle without fighting, then people will speak like, okay, okay, Arjuna is a great warrior, but he left the battlefield by uh, by fearing of like the sinful reaction, and he will incur the sin, and he will get the infamy words, okay, which is worse for a Kshatriya, it is worse than the death. Okay, that is what Krishna says to Arjuna. So he's influencing him to fight. Okay, so he's saying to Arjuna, either fight and die, that is better, rather than like leaving the battlefield and getting all this infamy, because infamy is worse than the uh, death for a Kshatriya. Next loka. Bhayatranaduparatam mamshyante tvamaharatāh yesham cha tvam bahumato bhutva yashyashi lagavam. So the great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Okay, the great warriors, like who will say, who always uh, think that okay, Arjuna is a great warrior, but they will say, okay, you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. They will talk about you like okay, in infamy words. So don't give them the chance. Okay, please go on fight. Okay, 36th sloka. अवाच्यवादंश्च बहून् वदिष्यन्ति तवाहितः निन्दन्तस्तव सामर्थ्यं ततो दुःखदरं नु किम्. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful than you? So again, like he's saying, your enemies will like okay, will ridicule you. They will talk about all the infamy words. Like okay, what could be more painful? Saying he already told, okay, the infamy and all these ridiculing words are like okay, more worst than the death for a Kshatriya. So don't give them chance. Like okay, fight, fight, fight for a reason to protect the religious practice. हतो वा प्राप्स्यसि स्वर्गं जित्वा वा भोक्ष्यसे महिम् तस्मादुत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय युद्धाय कृतनिश्चयः. Nishchaya means like a certainly. Uttishta we already seen. Anyone can say like what is the meaning of Uttishta?
It's like Hindi, Prabhu, utho. English, yes, like stand up and fight something.
Yeah, yeah. Uttishta means like a get
Wake up,
wake
like
up. Yeah. So because we already seen how they will wake up the Lord. Like okay, there is a this one na Uttishta Uttishta Garuda Dvaja Uttishta Kamala. Uh, Likewise, like okay, the Subrabhatam will come. The Subrabhatam will be sung to wake up the Lord even today, like in many of the Vishnu temple, correct? Uttishta means like a get up. Nishchaya means like okay, it is fixed, very firm. Okay, it is very determined and certainly Nishchaya. Okay, O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. He's saying, okay, if you fight and you've been killed, then still you will go to the heavenly planet because you fight for reason like to protect dharma, or you will conquer like okay, if you win, you will conquer the kingdom and you will be able to enjoy, correct? You can do a lot of good things too, like okay, the common people. So please get up and fight. Okay, he's influencing like to fight, fight, fight. Next sloka, with this sloka, like okay, this karma kanda explanation by Krishna to Arjuna is ending. Okay, sukha dukhe samay krutva labha labho jaya jayo tato yudhyaya yujyasva naivam papam avapshyasi. says, do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing, you will never incur sin. As Arjuna's one of the reason for not fighting. All these jnana yoga, karma yoga, dhyana yoga, which Arjuna is Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, is he's responding to the uh, five reasons. Arjuna saying like a five reasons not fighting, correct? Those five reasons he is giving, like okay, why you should not say those reasons like for not fighting, rather than you have to fight, because all these reasons are like okay, absurd, and it is not making any sense to say. Okay, that is what because one of the reason is like okay, Arjuna saying okay, he will fear of he's fearing of like okay, getting the sinful reaction, correct? Here Krishna says okay, you will not going to incur any sins, because you are going to fight as if like okay, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat. For that reason, like you are not going to get any sin. So the reason, okay, you have to fight. Okay, don't think that okay, you will incur sin. This is what Krishna is saying to Arjuna. Okay, till now, are you able to understand like what Krishna is saying to Arjuna? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So he's saying like you are not going to incur a sin. You have to, as a Kshatriya, you have to do the fighting. Happy are the Kshatriyas, like okay, these opportunities come without unshouting, okay, and you are because by either like okay, if you are getting killed also, you will attain the heavenly kingdom. If you are winning, like you are going to get the all the kingdom over here, so that like you will not incur any sin. You will have to fight, okay. So this is, and if you are run away from the battlefield, then you will get all the infamy words like okay, and from the acharyas also, all the great warriors like I will say okay, out of fear only, Arjuna ran away from the battle. So for a Kshatriya, dishonor is worse than the death. Okay, these are the points like explained by Krishna to Arjuna. Let us go into the detail of the purport. Okay. So for a Kshatriya, there is no better engagement than fighting on religious principle. Okay. The fighting should not be like okay, on a violent mood. It has to be on the religious principle. Okay. So here he's talking about like okay, the Varnashrama Dharma. Okay. So Varna and Ashrama, okay, all these things. There is a separate chapter which will come for the mode of material nature and like a Varna Ashrama Dharma. It will, and the fourth chapter also like a, it will be explained very detailed. Okay, so there we will see when conditional stage. Okay, we will go into the Varna Ashrama Dharma. The it has been like all of us like been split into four this one like a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Shudra, and Vaishya. Okay, Brahmana is classified as a mode of goodness. Whomsoever like in the mode of goodness, like okay, they have been called as a Brahmana, and Kshatriya is like a mode of passion. Then Vaishya is on the mode of passion plus ignorance. Okay, Shudra is in the mode of ignorance. Okay, these are the three modes: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. So that is how like the whole Varna been split. Okay, so this is what like been mentioned as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So while we are doing like in the Swadharma basis, so it has been classified on the mode of material nature. But when we are doing it in the liberated state, when we don't have like any attachment, then the Brahmana will do like a sacrifice and education, and Kshatriya will do like a administration and the protection, and the Vaishya will do like the business class for all the uh, uh, what to say, like, okay, no. It is for Brahmana and Kshatriya to get like, okay, the proper food and other things. They will do the business class, like, and then Shudra will help all the other classes. Like, okay, so this how it has been mentioned. So Kshatriya come under the protection and administration. So the reason, like, okay, they have to, he's asking Arjuna to fight. Lord Krishna does not support artificial renunciation, which I already told you, correct? Like, the Tyaga should not be coming in the artificial manner. It has to come like, okay, the proper manner, acceptance of a sannyasa by a Kshatriya. Like, okay, because what Arjuna says, okay, I'm not going to fight. Even I am okay to go for a begging by renunciating all the things. So Arjuna, sorry, Krishna condemning, you should not do that. Like, okay, because you are going to do artificial renunciation, which is not at all. Okay, let us go into this particular thing. So this is what we have seen. Like, okay, so the false renunciation should not be there. So perform your swadharma, discharging specific duties like a gracefully, so that you can elevate to the higher platform. Okay, this is what Krishna is saying to Arjuna. Okay. So regulate self-gratification, like using prescribed methods of Veda and this one, like we have to based on if we get like a good karma, we will go to the spiritual planet. Sorry, higher planets. If we do bad karma, like we will go to the lower planets. Like that is what been mentioned here. Okay, okay. Hmm. So here again, like all the things are said for a Kshatriya. The literal meaning of Kshatriya is like a one who has the protection from harm to anyone. The training of Kshatriya, like he has to do fight for the religious practice, and how they are trained, like he would go to forest, whatever they do, like okay, on a very strengthly platform. So they have to like okay, uh, they have to do like to protect the dharma. Law of books like okay, violence, it is not like considered as violence because they are protecting like a for the to protect the dharma. Okay, on they are fighting for religious principle, and sometimes like okay, sacrificial of animal killing by brahmanas. Okay, sometimes the sacrificial thing will be approved by Brahmana because they are giving that particular animal should not suffer in that particular body, in animal body. So it will be by giving the animal as a sacrifice, they are just promoting that animal to the human body, not for their own sense pleasure. Okay, many kill the animal uh, so that like they can eat the meat, but a Brahmana or Kshatriya should not do that in that manner. Like they will do it so that the animal can be promoted to the uh, next form, like which is a human form. So a result of avoidance of duty by Kshatriya, like they will get infamy and they will get a sinful reaction. Two type of swadharma is there, like as we saw, one is spiritual swadharma, which is attained after liberation. Okay, material swadharma, which is we have to do our duty. Okay, it is a must for humanity. We should not get deviated or get away from our doing our duty. It is ordered by the Lord also. Okay, they are unavoidable, and benefit is like okay in accordance to what higher authority said. If we are doing, then we will elevate to the higher states of life. Like okay, that is what been mentioned over here. Happy are the Kshatriya, like to whom such fighting opportunities come, and sought opening for them like the doors of the heaven. So this we have already seen. So here again, like okay, it has been said very detailedly. Kshatriya has to fight to protect the dharma. If we die, he will go to the heavenly planet. If you are winning, he will get a earthly kingdom. If he lose, like okay, he will get the heavenly kingdom. So opportunities, like okay, it comes unsolved and it has to be it has to be like okay done without any hesitation. Okay. So if he is not doing the duty, he will incur the sins for neglecting the duty, and he will lose the reputation as a fighter, and he will get like a infamy. For a respectable person or kshatriya, the infamy is like okay, worse than the death. Yeah, 1 second. Okay, so they consider the great generals like you consider Arjuna's like okay, the insignificant and infamy. So for that reason, like he's asking to fight. Okay. So get up with determination. That is what like we saw. Uttishta. So with the determination, like get up and fight. Even if you are going to get like a heavenly planet or the earthly kingdom. Okay, so if you are not fighting, you will be like okay, mentioned with a lot of infamy words, like so which is more painful. So either loss or gain, happiness or distress, victory or defeat. Like okay, never you are not going to incur sin because you are going to do it as a duty, as a kshatriya. So fight for the sake of fighting. So this is what like I explained in this particular from 31 to 38, like all these slokas. This is what like been explained. This flow chart will be very helpful, very helpful. Uh, so please understand all these things. Hare Krishna. Wait. So again, like a duty of Kshatriya been explained here to protect the citizens from all difficulties, apply violence like a for law and order, conquer inimical kings, okay, rule the world according to religious principles, okay. Kshatriya are never meant for directly accepting the order of sannyasa, okay. Non-violence in politics may be diplomacy, but it is never a factor or principle. Fighting benefits both way, like a win or lose, okay, which we have seen. So if you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins by neglecting, and this is not a good reputation like for a fighter. Everyone able to understand like what we are saying here? So any doubts till now? So here Arjuna's reputation been mentioned over here. Like Arjuna was a famous fighter and attained fame by fighting like many great demigods, like including Shiva. Um, Okay. And by winning Shiva only, like he received the weapon called Pashupatra Astra. Okay. And everyone knew that he was a great warrior. Like Dronacharya gave him benediction and awarded him the special weapon by which he could kill even his teacher. Okay. Credited with so many military certificates from many authorities, including his adopted father Indra, the heavenly king. Because Arjuna father is like okay, the Indra. So from him also he got some benediction. So result for abandoning the battle, like not only he would neglect his specific duty as a Kshatriya, he would lose all his fame and good name. He would go to hell by not fighting and by withdrawing from the battle. Okay, so these are the various reasons like been mentioned. So people will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than the death. So if you leave the battlefield before the battle even begins, the people will call you coward, and they will ridicule. That is worse than the death, like for a Kshatriya. Um, so they will call all the bad names, like you should not flee or fear for your life. Better to die in the battlefield by fighting. Okay, this will save you from the ill name by misusing my friendship and from losing your prestige in the society. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Okay, that 36 sloka. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind and scorn words, like okay, your ability. What could be more painful for you? Like, hey, so please stand up and fight. Okay, so either if you win, you will get the earthly kingdom. If you lose, like okay, you are going to get the heavenly planet. Okay. So with the determination, like a stand up and fight. Fight for the sake of fighting, like without considering happiness or distress, loss or defeat, or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing, you will never incur sin. Okay, so here the purport, like, okay, Krishna is saying, fight for the sake of duty. Okay, as Kshatriya, don't expect any result or don't get attached to the result. And without happiness and distress, like without loss or gain, just fight. Okay. What is sinful? Fighting or not fighting? Not fighting is going to be sinful because he is not doing the duty of a Kshatriya. Okay. Arjuna reasoned earlier, like a fighting the battlefield will cause the sin, but here Krishna is saying, by not fighting, you are going to incur the sin, like a better fight. Okay. Transcendental consciousness, everything is performed for the sake of Krishna. So, since Krishna says, like, do the fight, because Krishna is saying, then my friendship, like, will not be ridiculed also. Okay. The material consciousness, to act for one's own sense gratification, either in goodness or passion. So fight it like a Kshatriya. One is subject to reaction like a good or bad. So you fight and don't get attached to the result. Like, okay, give that result to the Lord. Okay, that is what Krishna is saying. So Krishna conscious devotee is beyond obligations. Okay, so one who is completely surrendered to the activities of Krishna consciousness is no longer obligated to anyone, nor is a debtor to anyone as in the ordinary course of activity. In normal thing, like, okay, if you fight, you will incur the sin for not doing, like, for the religious practice. But the Krishna consciousness person, or like, okay, the Swadharma, if he is doing like in a proper way to fight for protecting the religion and surrendering all the results to Krishna, then he is not going to get any sin. Okay. Indirect hint given to Arjuna by these verses, like by acting in Krishna consciousness, one is beyond all mundane obligations. Like, okay, is not even obliged or having like any debt to demigod, sages, people in general, instant humanity and forefather, because he's afraid of, like, okay, how my forefather or like my fatherly figure or grandfather will think of me. But he's saying, like, okay, by just doing what I say, what Krishna says, then you are not obliged to anyone else. Okay, so Krishna consciousness is the topmost act. Like, okay, so please do what I say, rather than, like, okay, you confusing yourself into many things. Okay, whether it is correct or not correct, whether it is right or wrong. So don't confuse yourself. Do what Krishna says. Like, that is what been mentioned over here. So fight without expecting, like, without worrying too much about the uh, defeat or gain or happiness or distress, etc. Okay, so this section talks about the karma yoga part of it. Like, okay, so till now we have seen the jnana yoga, which is talking about the 30 characteristics of the soul. Now he is talking about in the this eighth sloka, like, Krishna is talking, he is influencing Arjuna to fight in the karma kanda activities. Okay, so any realization, any feedback, any details, like, please let us know. So here, Nishkama karma based on jnana or bhakti, like, this is what Krishna is saying here. First, he is talking about the jnana yoga section B. Then section C, like, he is talking about the karma kanda. In the section D, like in the upcoming sloka, he will call about Nishkama karma yoga. So here he is saying, like, do your duty. He's not talking about the surrendering the result. In the next section, Krishna will talk about the karma kanda, which is called Niskama karma or Buddhi yoga. Nishkama karma, Buddhi yoga. Sorry, not karma kanda. Karma kanda in the section C, he's talking about. In the next section, like, he's talking about karma yoga or Nishkama karma yoga, which is called Buddhi yoga. Okay, which we will see in the detail. Jnana plus karma, like, it has to be combined, jnana and karma. So jnana is perform your duty because you are not the body, you are the soul. Correct? The karma kanda is like a do your duty as a Kshatriya, like you have to perform your duty. So while you combine both jnana and karma, it becomes like okay, karma yoga or nishkama karma yoga, which will be equivalent to buddhi yoga. Okay, which is equivalent to like a bhakti yoga also. So that we will see in the upcoming classes and upcoming sloka. Okay. Uh, Hare Krishna, any questions or any doubts till now?
Prabhuji, Buddhi Yoga and Bhakti Yoga both are same.
In a similar in somewhat it would be same, Prabhu, but a Buddhi Yoga you will not get like okay very immediately. Still you have to, yeah, Buddhi Yoga, there is no specific yoga such as Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga, it is like a gradual realization by using karma yoga and jnana yoga both together. That is called Buddhi Yoga, and Buddhi Yoga will be referred in all the places. Like I will share one article which will help you to understand what is Buddhi Yoga. But Bhakti Yoga is like
Oh.
a pure Bhakti you are saying without
So
worrying.
these four are always confusing.
Yeah, correct.
Nishkama Karma Yoga, then
Yeah,
that ladder, 7 ladder of success. That thing.
exactly.
That is always confusing, always.
It will be always confusing. The Buddhi Yoga is a logical thing which you combine or which you are doing like okay while you reach Lord by doing your karma yoga, nishkama karma yoga. That is also called as Buddhi Yoga. While you are reaching the Lord by doing the jnana yoga, that also Buddhi Yoga. Okay. While you reach the Lord by using the dhyana yoga, that also will be Buddhi Yoga. But
Okay.
Bhakti is like okay, is superior from all these things because you are just doing it for the sake of Krishna. You are not thinking about your karma, you are not thinking about your jnana, you are not thinking about your dhyana. It is just you are doing it for the sake of Krishna. Okay, that is the reason this Bhakti Yoga.
How to
Yeah,
create that mentality?
yeah, that mentality will come while because we are not, see there are various other things, Prabhu, like okay, for example gopis, okay, got
Yeah.
that they don't know like anything about Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. They don't know anything about like okay doing their karma because they have not done their karma also. They are not taking care of the family, but they are always think of the Lord. They are always in the Bhakti Yoga. They are always like having the loving conjugal mood to serve Krishna. So they get the lovable form of Bhakti Yoga to reach Lord in that manner. What we common people like okay, we have to, because we are in this contaminated material world, we have to go
Correct.
through like a lot of purification process. First we need to we need to know like what is karma yoga, what is karma kanda, what is nishkama karma yoga, what is a jnana yoga. All these things we need to keep on reminding ourselves. We need to keep on like reminding ourselves by reading the scripture, by chanting is a purificatory process, then by reading the scripture, by associating with the devotees, by participating in like okay the sanctification process, which is like okay offering the boga to the Lord and take it as a prasadam, so that our senses are purified, our all the knowledge is purified, our buddhi is purified, our activities are purified. So likewise like we have to do uh, on the level of like okay coming to the Buddhi Yoga. Okay,
Okay.
Prabhu.
Okay. So mainly chanting, the scripture reading, then association,
Yes,
and prasadam. All these things will make us to help the purify the senses, which
exactly.
in turn may inculcate some bhakti, and we can go towards the bhakti yoga.
Yes, correct, Prabhu. There is like
But
a six
in these 4 or 5 things,
Panchagati. Yeah,
is chanting superior or anything is superior?
chanting is the superior because we are in this Kali Yuga. In this Kali Yuga, way to reach Lord, simplified processes like a chanting the holy name. There is no, that is a reason like okay, it's been said what is that sloka? Like, okay, I'm forgetting. No. So there is one sloka like a Nama Vinu Kalikale Nahi Ara Dharma Sarva Mantra Sara Nama E Sastra Marma. There is no other process like other than chanting the holy name to reach Lord in this particular thing. One more sloka is there. I'm forgetting that sloka, Prabhu. Like,
Okay. Can we do chanting without mala also?
what, Prabhu? Huh?
Can we do chanting without mala? Mila, without the beats?
No, Prabhu. The beats will bring the discipline. Okay. Otherwise, what we'll think is okay. Now we will say, okay, I
No,
am going to.
suppose if I'm traveling, say if I'm in the bus, if I'm in
Yeah,
the
yeah. That time,
hospital,
like, okay,
I cannot do with the,
yeah. You can.
that time I cannot do with those beats. Impossible. That time can I do in the mind?
Yeah. You can do like okay. There is no prescribed rules like okay and regulations by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu okay, mentioned in this chanting. Um, so you can do like okay, do something. Doing is like a better than nothing. So definitely you have to do. You will do. You have to do like okay. That is for sure.
Correct. Actually, for the past 1 week, 10 days, I'm a little irregular in chanting. So I was trying to think how should I correct it properly? Why I become irregular?
No, Prabhu, we have
That
to
is the
do
reason I
like
was asking.
yeah, definitely like the chanting the holy name because that is
I
the
was not able to do with
purest.
the beats.
Yeah. The purest thing is like okay, the purest thing for us in this Kali Yuga is like okay, only the Lord's holy name. So that is the reason even the Lord came as a devotee form as a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he exhibited how to chant the holy name. Okay, so that is very, very important. So chanting is the topmost principle which is been mentioned in the Panchanga Bhakti. There are 5 Panchanga Bhaktis there, like uh, uh, visiting the Dham, chanting the holy name, Vaishnava association, then what to say like reading the scripture, all these things. Okay, so in that Panchanga Bhakti, the chanting is one of the topmost. Okay, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah, I will share the other sloka. Then the chanting. Any other queries or any other realization? மூணு டைப் சொல்லுவாங்களே. Any other queries, Hare Krishna? Okay, if no further queries, like are good to close this. Class. Still, I am not getting that sloka. I will share it in the group. Okay. There are many slokas been mentioned. Satatam Kirtayanto
Sure.
Mamamo. Okay, then
Only thing is I was very because for the past 1 week, 10 days, a little very irregular in my chanting. I was not able to do with beats.
no,
So I was
Prabhu,
thinking,
there
why
is
not I do sitting chumma by mind?
no. Definitely, you can do and you have to do, Prabhu. Like okay, so rather than sitting idle, like chanting the holy name is always encouraged. Even you can use some clicker also, some small chanting beats also you can use. Okay, so
Correct.
nowadays like some app also there in the mobile where you can count also. rather than
Oh,
counting like the realization of the holy name and the chanting is more important. That has to be like taken care into the consideration also.
sure.
Hare Krishna, any other realization? Yeah, I got that quote. Okay, the sloka, it goes like this. Okay,
Yes.
in the Skali there is no other kalo nasti eva nasti. Hare, yeah, Hare Rama iva kevalam. Kalo nasti eva nasti gatiranyata. Okay, which is mean.
Okay.
I will project that sloka because this is very important. Yeah, I will just to put it because it's very important sloka. Hare Krishna.
This is from which book?
It is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 17.21. It says like a
Okay.
Harer Nama Iva Kevalam Kalo Eva Gatiranyata. So how many times Eva Nasti it has been said? 3 times. Okay, Lord is stressing here 3 times. In this age of Kali, there is no other means for self-realization than chanting the holy name. Chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. So this is what very important. Okay.
No,
So
my point
Hare,
is only if it's not possible with beats, can we do mentally or can we
yeah,
do on our fingers? That
yeah,
is the
Prabhu.
point because many times we are not able to do because of our job problem or work problem. We cannot do with beats and all.
Yeah,
That's
Prabhu.
the only thing I wanted to confirm.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Like you can do it by using the clicker or by using the small chanting beads. Like okay, you can do even if you don't have the chanting bead or if you don't have the beads also or the clicker also, you still do it by thinking about the Lord. Like okay, without any
Yeah.
hindrance. Okay, yeah, that has to be done, Prabhu. Okay, that has to be
Sure.
done. Yeah.
I was
Okay.
little irregular. I was very feeling bad. I was irregular. For the
No.
past 10 days, I'm
Do it.
irregular.
Do it. Definitely, Lord will empower you to do it and will empower us also to do it. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Sure. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So, if no further queries, like thanks all for joining. Let me stop the